I love horror and sci-fi type movies, and that includes alien movies. Anything alien theme, I'm there for it. I love it. And I love alien movies so much because we don't know if they exist or not, and it's so fun to just imagine if they do, what they look like, what they would do, what would happen if they actually existed. And usually it's not such great things that happen, but that makes the movies more fun. I absolutely loved the movie Annihilation. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely check it out. Not gonna go into too much detail here, but basically there's like this prism that occurs, and inside of it, people disappear, and when you go inside, we find out that like things are morphing into each other, like DNA is getting mixed up, and it's like human DNA and alien DNA and organic DNA is all getting mixed together, and it creates really beautiful but also creepy animals and nature, foresty stuff. Very colorful and vibrant. Oh, the visuals in that movie were so stunning. It was so beautiful. And then other things happened, not so great. But I love the movie and you should check it out, especially if you're a fan of sci-fi, horror, and all that. So this cake is inspired by the movie Annihilation. My name's Melissa and I'm an artist. I create cakes, sculptures, and a lot of other cool things. I chose to create a female bust for this cake, so the face and the shoulders, and then I'm going to incorporate in all of that organic, creepy, natural material that morphs into the DNA of the face. I had a lot of fun with this one. My creativity was blooming, but I'll let you see for yourself. Let's create this cake. For any portrait cake, I always plan out all of my dimensions first before I start sculpting. I created an internal structure with a threaded rod sticking through the center and then a wood piece attached on it that's going to support all the weight of that head from the cake. I'm using red velvet cake here with vanilla buttercream, a must, especially for a creepy Annihilation cake. I build up the cake, carve it out into the basic form of the head using all those dimensions that I pre-planned, and then I cover it in a seal of chocolate ganache to keep all that moisture in. I built up the neck with homemade Rice Krispie treats, which are super solid when they harden and will support more of that weight and will keep it standing and structurally sound. I'm sculpting the face in modeling chocolate. I always start with the eyes and work my way out. It's best to start with laying out all of your proportions first with the chocolate. So I'll plan out where the eyes go, the nose, and the mouth, just rough shapes of them, and then I go in and finesse the detail once I know where everything is going to be, because you don't want to work 2 hours on one eye and then realize it's out of proportion and have to redo it all over again once you add the nose and the mouth. Oh, no. So I laid out all of that chocolate, got that whole shape of that face built, and then went in and refined. I don't know why it just sounded like that. I wasn't trying to make this face look like anyone in particular. I roughly looked at like Natalie Portman's face as she stars in the movie, but I kind of just made it up as I went a little bit, just because I wanted to be super creative with this cake and not just focus on making it look exactly like one person. I wanted to feel free to make it how I wanted, be organic with it, be loose with it, so I can interpret it the way I want. Once the face is sculpted to the way that I want, then I really get to start having fun and adding in all of those organic materials, sort of alien-like veins and lines, carving out pieces of the face and making it look like things are internally growing beneath the skin, kind of resembling like roots and earth, but in a very alien-like way. I'm also creating my own special material, which I'm going to place on the face later on by mixing sugar with some water and baking it. And it creates this like porous, crystallized rock, which I thought would be perfect to place all around the face as this like organic matter that grew out from within. The bottom of the bust, basically just the shoulders, is built up also with cake, so bringing in more of that red velvet, of course. As I'm working on the bust, I'm also carving out circles, leaving like craters within it for these sugar crystals to go within. I feel like that's very alien-like when you see a lot of like craters and holes with things growing in. So I made sure to use that a lot. Now it's time to get really involved in creating all of those organic forms. So I'm just taking strips of chocolate and laying them in rows to create like almost like a buggy, alien-like texture of scales. And then I'm adding in those crystallized forms of sugar all around. And I also had this coral mold that had like porous holes in it. So I took some chocolate and pressed it into that mold and added that on, and that created that like sea-like coral, but within the face. Again, all this different DNA forming together, sea-like stuff, nature, trees, earth, twigs, and human DNA, and alien stuff, all forming together. There's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just what my mind sees as I go, and I'm also looking at reference photos from the movie. When it came time to paint, I wanted her to have more of like a paler face to contrast against all of the vibrant color that I'm gonna paint on top of all of that material, the sugar crystals and scaly forms around the face. So I went pretty pale, just like a light nude shade. I was gonna keep this a secret, but I actually realized as I was going that the eyes were not perfectly proportional. One was kind of sticking out further than the other, and I hated how it looked because I can be a little bit of a perfectionist when it comes to that. So I purposely covered up one of the eyes so they didn't look out of proportion. But pretend you don't know that. I wanted the face to look beautiful, which I did with the sculpting, but then with the coloring, I wanted it to look kind of pale and a little bit grotesque, not 100% fully human, if you know what I mean. I'm a color girl. I love color. So one of the things that made me obsessed with the movie Annihilation was how much color there was. All of the new plants, earths, animals that were being created through that DNA forming together was so colorful. Like they went wild with the color, super vibrant. So it was super horrific, but beautiful at the same time, which is like my favorite combination of things. I love horrifically beautiful things. I just do. One of my favorite quotes is by Tom Waits, and it goes, "I love beautiful melodies telling me terrible things." And that's how I feel about art and what makes me feel inspired when I see something so horrific, but so beautiful that you can't look away, but it's telling you something terrible, but it's so beautiful. Do you get what I mean? To make it still feel organized and cohesive and not one chaotic mess, I made these sugar crystals more vibrant and colorful. That's where I had fun and went crazy with the bright colors and the neons. And then the scales and the veins, I kept more like natural tones, more skin-like. And that helped to give it contrast and create a flow through the face so it didn't get all mixed together into one bright mess. I covered the base in a dark maroon to make that cake really pop. And with that, my Annihilation cake was done. I was absolutely in love with how the cake turned out. It was just a complete expression of my creativity. I got to have fun and just not stick to any rules. Like when you're making a hyper-realistic cake, there's so many rules because it has to look exactly like that object. Here, I just got to have fun and be creative, use any colors I want, sculpt it any way that I wanted. And it really felt like just an expression of myself and what I loved from this movie in cake. It was so fun to cut into it and then see that bright red velvet cake popping through. When I posted pictures online, people went crazy for all of that red cake inside. And it tasted delicious too. But the cake just really added to that layer of horror that I wanted within this cake. I love that I created these sugar formations on my own. It was like kind of mixing together my own form of organic material for this DNA. I want to explore more ideas of what I could create with these sugar rock crystals. I'm thinking like ice Antarctic type vibes on a cake. We'll see in a future video what I can come up with. If you're a fan of the movie Annihilation, did you love seeing me create a cake inspired on that? Is there other type of movies that you would like to see a cake inspired from? Please comment below because I'd love to hear. If you enjoyed watching me create this Annihilation bust cake, please do not forget to give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for many more cool videos to come. As always, you can see the full process of me creating this cake from start to finish, no cuts, on my Patreon linked below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.